Now we move to question number 4. And before you move from any questions, know that you can spend an hour in them, days in one question with one concept. This is self-realization, and self-realization is freedom. Question number 4, who would you be without that thought? Who would you be without your story? Who would you be if you did not believe that? What is your life like when you don't think that thought? What does it feel like when you're not thinking that thought? These are variations of the question, who would you be without that thought? And to sit with that and continue the meditation that allows the mind to surface and heal you. Silently invite the answers to surface. Be still, relax, and allow goodness to live, to feed you, to nourish you. Take your time. What would my life be like living with David if I did not believe that thought? The thought, David doesn't listen to me. I often invite people to close their eyes, and I invite you to close your eyes and picture David. Picture the person that you are working with, the person that has not or does not listen to you. To look at this person's face, to look at their eyes, and to be still and watch. Who would you be without that thought? And just for a moment, look at this person and drop your story. And really look at them just for a moment without your story. What I am noticing as I look through imagination, my experience of the past, as I look at David without a story, I see someone that is very excited about what they're doing, that he's very interested in what he's doing in his life, that he has his own focus, and that he's loving it. I also see that he's trying to understand me. And I also see me attacking him for not listening, and I see his attempts to hear me. And now I can see how crazy I must sound in my attack on him. All over a concept. All because I'm believing my thought. So I can see that it's not David causing my stress, but my thoughts about David that are causing my stress. So who would I be without the thought? Who would I be without the thought, David doesn't listen? Who would I be if I had no way to believe that thought? Who would I be if I didn't think that thought? Who would I be living with David without the thought? Well, there would be no way to be angry when he did or didn't listen. It would be much more peaceful to live without that thought. There would be less reason for me to be angry at him or me. I would be awake to, I can't really know if he listens or not. So I could be sane enough just to ask him, David, did you hear me? Or I could be sane enough to say, David, I don't really get that you heard me. Would you look at me for a moment? I'd like to say it again. But I see clear communication. I see a much saner life, much more peaceful. And when I look at the stress that I am causing myself, and I see from my own experience that it's okay that people do or do not listen to me. In fact, that's a much more peaceful existence. So those are the 4 questions of the work. And the next step is the turnaround. The turnaround can bring at least as many revelations and miracles to your life as the 4 questions can. And I invite you to always walk the concept you're dealing with through the 4 questions before you go to the turnaround. Again, the 4 questions are education. And if you turn a concept around, it can feel like a knife in your heart sometimes. So if you walk the concept through the 4 questions first, then the turnaround feels like a kiss. Because the 4 questions have educated your mind, the turnaround feels more like a kiss than a dagger. There are 3 ways to turn a concept around, and there can be many variations of those 3 ways. But you can turn it around to the opposite, to the other, or to the self. So David doesn't listen to me, turned around. David does listen to me. That's an opposite. Now, mind's job is to find genuine proofs. We're entering the opposite polarity, one the mind is not used to. David does listen to me. So now, as meditation, I sit in this and I allow all the pictures and experiences of the past with David to surface that show to me he does listen. Times that he has listened. Times that he has listened and maybe no one else was listening. Times that he was really there for me and clearly heard me. And these have to be genuine ways because the mind only buys the genuine, and it knows what's genuine and what's not because it's always itself that it's dealing with. So it has to be the real thing. So as you wait, allow those times and moments when David did listen to you to surface. Find 3 specific examples. This is meditation. Some of you may not be able to find them, and I invite you to wait until you do. They're there. It's just unexplored territory for some of you. Another turnaround. David doesn't listen to me. I don't listen to David. Now be still and allow your past to visit you again. Find 3 specific, genuine examples of where you have not listened to David, of where you have not listened to that person that you are working on now. Another turnaround. David does not listen to me. I don't listen to me. Now be still. Just breathe. Be breathed and allow genuine experiences from your past where you don't listen to you, times when you have not listened to you, times that you have not been there for yourself, times when you expected other people to hear you when you were not even listening. Find 3 specific examples. Don't let your mind get away with anything. If you find 1, you can find 2. If you can find 2, you can find 3. If you can find 3, the mind begins to understand what it's like to live in the polarity of freedom. It begins to understand what it's like to look in the direction where the answers are, not where the pain is. So the 3 ways to experience the turnaround is to turn it around to the opposite, to the other, and to the self. And notice that some of the concepts you work on will have variations of these. And always keep in mind, it has to be genuine. We're not dealing with positive affirmations now. We're dealing with clear turnarounds. For example, David doesn't listen to me. Turned around. David is a good man, and he does the best that he can. That is not a turnaround. So trust the turnarounds. Keep the words as closely as possible as you turn it around to the opposite, to the other, to the self. When you're dealing with an object, let's say body as object, The way to turn it around is replace the object with the words thoughts, my thoughts, or my thinking. For example, I want my body to be young and flexible and beautiful. Turned around, I want my thinking to be young, flexible, and beautiful. And if you had to choose between the two, which would it be? If you had to choose, would you want your mind to be beautiful and flexible, or your body to be beautiful and flexible? As you experience these turnarounds and notice that your turnaround absolutely doesn't fit, it's okay. Just play with it a while, open to it. And if it doesn't fit, try another turnaround. This is not a test. This is about just trying on what fits. And for me, I can tell you the turnarounds are profound, and I can always find an opposite. And I do this from a very gentle position. As you turn it around, ask yourself, is this turnaround as true or truer? And then notice as you find the three ways, the three proofs, the three genuine examples of where that is as true or truer in your life. So to review the 4 questions in turnaround, the first question is it true? The second question is, can you absolutely know that it's true? And remember, yes or no is okay. The third question, how do you react when you believe that thought? And the fourth question, who would you be without that thought? And then move to the turnaround, to the opposite, to the other, and to the self when they apply, remembering that not every turnaround will fit.